While not always a part of every playthrough, diplomacy is a very fun and useful mechanic in Stellaris. The first part of diplomacy is finding other nations to have diplomatic relations with. When you first encounter another nation, usually one of their science ships or star bases, you get the first contact window, which you can open by clicking the blue radar icon on the galaxy map, or via the situation log. You can assign one of your envoys to investigate the first contact. How long is determined by your Empire's modifiers, your first contact policy set via the Policies tab, and the difficulty determined by what it is you are trying to contact. Every time the first contact progresses, you get a bit more information and sometimes a decision of how to proceed. When first contact completes, if possible, you are finally able to establish diplomatic relations. If it's another empire, you will see their capital system on the galaxy map, as well as any other of their systems you have discovered. To open the diplomacy window, click on an empire's flag or use the contacts tab. You don't know everything about an empire when you first meet them. Your current knowledge is indicated by the intel bar. You increase intel by forming diplomatic agreements, most simply via establishing an embassy, or assigning an envoy to create a spy network in the espionage tab. I may cover espionage in a later video. As you improve intel, you get a gauge of how their military, technological, and economic power relates to yours, as well as revealing more of their starbases and planets on the galaxy map. In the center, you can see the AI's attitude towards you, which determines how they are likely to behave towards you. The AI's attitude changes as your relations level changes, indicated by the color of the bar. There are numerous ways to improve relations, in order to get access to various diplomatic agreements. The simplest way is to assign an envoy to improve relations with the Improve Relations button. Each month, your envoy will improve relations a little, more envoys improving it faster. They do have a limit, and the improved relations your envoys generated will begin to decay as soon as there are no envoys assigned to the Empire. Another way to improve relations is by sending gifts or favorable trade deals. If you click on the Offer Trade Deal button, the trade window opens. The left side is what your Empire is offering, and the right side is what you want in return. You can send a gift by leaving their side empty. The number in the center shows the AI's acceptance of the offer. If it is positive, they will accept it, and if it is negative, they will not. This number will also determine the relation boost the trade deal will provide, up to a maximum of 100. So an easy way to quickly boost relations by 100 is to give them a resource you have an abundance of. I recommend trying each resource to see how it affects the deal, as different empires favor some resources more than others. Usually minerals are worthless in trade deals, and strategic resources or consumer goods are the best to send. This will actually transfer the resources, so don't send alloys if you plan to go to war with them. Inversely, you could send alloys to an empire in a war you'd like them to win. The trade menu is also the simplest way of getting favors. Favors can be exchanged like any other resource in the trade menu, up to a maximum of 10 favors per empire. Favors are used to sway an empire to agree to a pact or to gain diplomatic influence in the galactic community, which I plan to cover in a future video. Commercial pacts give both empires some energy, unity, or consumer goods depending on which trade policy is set. You only unlock the trade policy selection if you take the Adaptive Economic Policies tradition under the mercantile tree. Otherwise, you just get energy. Research agreements slightly increases both empires' research production, but more importantly gives a research speed bonus to technology already researched by one of the empires. Migration treaties allow both empires to colonize worlds with pops of the other species, which is a useful alternative to terraforming or genetic modification if they have a different habitability preference than is available to you. It also allows their pops to grow in your already colonized worlds. Non-aggression pacts are an agreement to not declare war on each other, and when broken, force a 10-year truce between the two empires before war can be declared. Defensive pacts work like a non-aggression pact, but it is also an agreement that if either empire is attacked, the other will join the war automatically. This does not apply to wars one of the two empires declares as an attacker. I plan to cover federations more in a later video, but very simply are like a defensive pact for offensive wars as well. Guaranteed independence works much like defensive pacts, but is only a one-way agreement. The receiver won't come to the guaranteer's aid. This may seem pointless at first, but it is a good way of generating trust. Trust is a boost to relations generated slowly over time while there is an active pact between two empires. It has a maximum which can be increased with the direct diplomacy tradition in the diplomacy tree. Demanding tribute is like guarantee independence, but they pay you a monthly % of their energy and mineral upkeep in return for protection. If they refuse, you can declare war on them to force them to become your tributary. I plan to cover declaring wars in a future video. Demanding vassalization forces them to submit to your rule while still maintaining the day-to-day of their own empire. They will be unable to claim new territory, declare wars, or make pacts, and will fight in any of your wars. In exchange, you must protect them. After a certain amount of time has passed as your vassal, you may integrate them into your empire, taking control of everything they own. It is by far the cheapest way of gaining new territory, though time-consuming. Like demanding tribute, if they refuse, you can go to war to force vassalization. Also, you may only demand tribute or vassalization of an empire that is inferior to you. You can also ask empires to make you into their vassal or tributary. I don't recommend doing either of these, but if you absolutely must get protection, you can become a tributary. Never become a vassal though, as the game will end if the AI decides to integrate you. Tributaries can't be integrated and can still expand and declare wars. The tax is worth that freedom. But what if you don't want to be friends? You can send an envoy to decrease relations, much like improving relations. You can also send an insult. If your relations are low enough, you may declare rivalry. Why do this? Maintaining pacts costs influence, which is a valuable resource used for expanding your empire or calling in favors in the galactic community. Rivalries give you influence. You can have up to a maximum of 3 rivalries. You can also close your borders, preventing that empire from sending any ships through your territory, particularly useful to stop construction ships from claiming territory behind your borders. Declaring rivalry automatically closes your borders. In the Policies tab, you can set your diplomatic stance. Diplomatic stances give you various bonuses or debuffs. Expansionist is the best pick in the beginning of the game, as it allows you to claim territory cheaper, though it is best to change it to something else once your borders are locked in, as it will increase border friction, which is a penalty to relations when sharing borders. Cooperative and mercantile are good for making friends, whereas belligerent and supremacist are good for empires who plan to go to war. Isolationist is for empires who wish to focus internally. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more Stellaris guides like this, the link to the playlist is in the description.